I'm Chaz Bellman, your Director of Grooming Sales at Wagon Tails, and we've left the cornfields of Indiana and are now in White Plains, New York. Inside this van is our friend Charlse Swasho. Let's take a look at the day in the life of the Supreme Groomer.
All right,
one dog down.
Yeah, one down.
Where are we going next?
Gonna take a nice stroll to White Plains.
Gotcha.
Up to the second dog. We're doing Piper next, which is the Galley.
Gotcha.
Let's go.
So first dog you did poodle mix.
Yeah, Cavapoo.
Cavapoo. Obviously had some matting there.
Yeah, a little matting on the chest, nothing major.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you, it's more of a maintenance groom. It did go elsewhere. So they may have not known the length and the specific schedule. So I'll chalk it up to that.
Yeah.
I won't chalk it up to the owner that time around.
That's fair. Now, like obviously, like for me watching that, you look like you breezed through that.
Yeah.
But how much time did it take for you to build up that skill set?
I'd probably say where I'm at right now. I've been doing this probably about 2.5 years solid now. It took me to understand my right tools that I need, the right shampoo, and now I'll breeze through it.
Yeah.
Understanding the dog's coat, texture, stuff like that. Every dog's different as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably say I'm just now comfortable to breeze through it right now at that 2.5 year point.
Gotcha. 2.5 in mobile, or like when you were younger, did you get
professional grooming?
Yeah.
I'll say professionally hands-on grooming. That's 2.5. But I've been in the industry since I've been 14. I'm 35 now.
Gotcha. So is it something that like you started when like you were a child, let's say? Like,
Yeah.
Did you immediately have an affinity for animals, or was like there a certain point where you
Since I can remember.
Yeah.
Since I can remember, I even have pictures of me younger, like holding these big snakes.
Yeah.
And everything. I grew up down south, so I was real around animals all the time. My mom did not shy away from exposing me from animals at all.
It's a lot of pets growing up?
Oh man, growing up, surprisingly, no. But the minute that I hit my teenage years, I was going crazy.
Yeah.
I was super into reptiles. That was my thing.
Yeah.
I bred reptiles, I collected reptiles, and my mom was open for me to go crazy.
That's cool.
But no, just a cat growing up. No dogs, no nothing.
Gotcha. I had an iguana growing up, and yeah, let's say the reptiles, like you kind of quickly learn that that's it should be an exotic animal, and kind of left outside was what I learned.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because they just
some iguanas do need to be only outside.
Yes, yeah.
But I was into like tegus. You know what a tegu is?
No.
Oh man, it almost looks like a Komodo dragon in a way. It's like this really nice looking reptile, and I did a blue tegu, so it was like more rare, stuff like that, and I bred them. Yeah, I was into it. I went full into it.
So at what point did you move to dogs or get into them?
So my first job was at like my local, I don't know if you've heard it, it's called Petland Discounts. Yeah, so around here there was Petland Discounts.
Yeah.
Kind of like a PetSmart, Petco kind of thing. They closed down, but my first job was working there. I worked there probably about 3.5, 4 years.
So what age did you start there?
14.
Okay.
I got my working papers and got right in there. I was just like a stock associate.
Okay.
Anything like that, just stock, took in truck in the morning. Then I really started to see, this is what I love, right? This is easy for me. I could sell these animals. I could sell this. I could talk about them. I can understand. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Quickly went up. 16 years old. Was assistant manager. So I got manager kind of stuff under my belt at a young age, but my first job was working with animals. No dogs, no cats in that side, but there was like you said, exotic. There was parrots, birds, fish, all that stuff. Everything that you could possibly think of, they sold other than dogs and cats.
That's wild.
Yeah. Then after that, I took a break from that, and I tried to do something different, something that wasn't the same thing every single day.
Right.
And I went into a delivery service, like a truck driving delivery service.
Okay.
And I was a helper there. So basically, there was a driver and there was me. He went to the back. I went to go deliver, came back. It was time slots, everything like that. I did that for about 2 years. I would probably say it taught me a lot.
Yeah.
That job.
And you said, talking to you previously that you didn't love school.
No,
So-
no, I'm not. School is not my thing.
Yeah. So it was more so getting the hands-on business skill set, and how have you parlayed that skill set that you gained even as a 16-year-old manager or helping with a truck into your day-to-day life now?
Well, I mean, you get to know the business right away, especially in a manager state. You have a quote, you have a daily quote, you have to manage employees, and imagine a 16-year-old
trying
to manage you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I got that under my belt as well. It's an easy segue. If I would have went to school, it would have been for business anyways.
Gotcha.
So I'm in the right position. I'm in the position that I always wanted to be in. Would I have thought it would have been dog grooming? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I would not have changed it for anything where I'm at right now. It's not dog grooming, it's dog art that we're doing. We're creating, every dog is a canvas. So that's what I consider it. So when people do ask, I don't say I'm a dog groomer.
Right.
And with my head down, I'm a dog artist.
Shouldn't.
Yeah,
No, it's awesome to be able to see just even the joy on that customer's face when they got the dog back after having taken it to someone
That means
previously.
that means the world to me right there.
Yeah.
Besides the wagging tail and the kisses and everything,
Yep.
when a client is happy and it can see the difference, not even on a competitive side,
Right.
but just knows the nature that I give to these dogs, the love and affection, it's the world.
Yep.
That is the paycheck right there.
Right. And what did you see? I know you said you had worked at was it Petco or Petco?
It was Petland Discounts, but
so that was
yeah,
what
so
you
it's
referred
Petland
to, okay.
Discounts, truck driving, and then I realized, this is kind of like a dead end kind of street here. Like I could be a driver, get my CDL license, and do I want to be a driver for the rest of my
Right.
life as I'm driving?
Right.
I went back into the pet industry, and this is where I went to PetSmart.
Yeah.
Went in seasonal, same thing. Seasonal. They weren't hiring for any manager or anything like that. So went in strictly just seasonal. Worked my way up. Same kind of spiel.
Yeah.
Manager, everything like that, and it's where I stood. Now in PetSmart, there was dog grooming. Right. I was not the main manager for that, but I did see the numbers.
Yeah.
Right. I did see the margins that were there. There were certain people that loved their grooming job and certain people that wasn't in love with it. That's when I really started seeing and what dog grooming was.
Right.
We don't really know what dog grooming is until we actually are in it.
Immersed in it.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, from an outsider's perspective looking in, it's kind of hard to understand that, or even if you're at a Petco, a PetSmart or
Yeah.
something. What did you see while you were working there that made you realize that mobile was probably a better way to go about your passion for dogs?
I didn't even know that there was even such thing as mobile at that time. We could kind of, long story made short, the PetSmart that I was working at closed down. I was transferred to Westchester area that we're at right now, and was a manager there. That's where I met my wife.
Okay.
I was her boss.
Nice.
It was very frowned upon.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's usually looked down upon.
Yeah,
in
it was
the
pretty
business
frowned
world.
upon, but when the right one's there, you put it all on the table. It's
Yep.
perfectly fine.
Yep, even if it risks your job.
Yeah, exactly. Still, don't know anything about dog grooming. Don't know anything. We're gonna fast forward hard to I wind up quitting.
Okay.
I wanted not
for the
to
work environment or for the
it was the work.
relationship?
No, maybe it was a coin flip.
Yeah.
It was a little bit. I played both sides.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that you did say that, it was frowned upon. Right.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'd rather not do this.
Right.
And at this time, the passion for just dogs in general has grown throughout the years. So I decided to quit and pursue the dog, but with a twist of I was into photography and videography
Gotcha.
all throughout these years,
That's a
since
good
I can
combo.
remember as well. So I opened my dog walking and dog training business.
Okay. Does that still exist today?
No, COVID took that bad boy down.
Okay.
Yeah, COVID ripped it up. They didn't want people going into their homes,
Right.
We fast forward to COVID. COVID took it down. I wanted to take, because I said I was the paper pusher,
Right.
pushing this. You take this amount of dogs,
Right.
And I wanted to focus more on the psyche of the pet. And I see these dogs in kennels. I see them in there, and they're all drooling. They're a mess, right? And they're there for almost 8 hours.
Jeez.
They herd them in.
Yep.
They wean them out.
Yep.
I told Steph, because pandemic, she lost her job because you just can't afford.
Right.
Most people did. There's no can't work from home.
No, not
right. At least good, but not when you work for a corporate. Right. So that was that. So we brainstormed, and Steph came to me and said, "All right, why don't we open our own shop?" This is mid-pandemic. Can't see anybody's faces. Everybody's wearing masks. Everybody's scared of somebody were to cough, they're gonna die. You know. Looked around. Didn't have much in the bank because we're, scrapping it up. This is pandemic. We can't ball out. We finally land on someone that's interested in us and interested in our idea. So we opened our first shop with $6,000.
Wow.
Crappy plumbing. It was hilarious. I wish I had photos to show you about how bad this was.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, it was terrible. In the intentions of just Steph and I rocking out and just doing cage-free, focus on a dog psyche, and doing dog art. I'm not into dog grooming yet. I didn't do anything, but I know the business side and I know dogs in and out.
Gotcha.
So she was the dog groomer. I was the business side. Let's put it together and let's open something that Westchester hasn't seen.
Nice.
We opened it. $6,000. They took a risk on us. They said, all right. I told them, I sold us. I may have sold a couple white lies. Yeah. But I told them, look how lucrative this business can be. It was a small strip, like a movie town, maybe like this.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, I could bring revenue to each one of these businesses. Right. Just give us an opportunity and we'll do it.
Yeah, because the people have to, if they're dropping their dog off, they're going to spend time in those
They got to eat, right?
Right.
There was dessert, there was food, there was shopping. You can't go anywhere.
Right.
Especially when they're coming from miles away. They're not going to go home. So we did that. Fast forward to, we started picking up. It was a local town. So the town really got behind us, thankfully, and really started supporting us. And what was supposed to be just Steph and I, our books were overflowing within a year.
That's awesome.
And and mind you, I think Steph has groomed way more years than me, but I think 2020 is where she honed in on. She's not a dog groomer, she's a dog artist.
Right. Yeah.
We started understanding 2020 of the art form of it and what we can possibly do. Mind you, our grooms, if we look back, her grooms, she's like, oh my God, this is embarrassing, right? Yeah. But it was us that the people were coming for, right? It was the experience.
That's a lot of it.
Yeah, it was the experience. It was their dog not sitting in kennels for hours and seeing, like you just saw with Gally, shaking in the beginning, and then she understood what we were doing. She knows the process that we go through, and she's wagging her tail, and she's giving me kisses at the end.
Right.
It's the before and after is not only visual with the groom, it's the stature of the dog and everything. So that's what we were delivering.
And the comfort level.
Right. That's what we were delivering.
With, just the one-on-one service that you have with them.
Rewind. I went to Intergroom. We were just shoppers. We wanted to get stuff for the shop. And I decided to sit down and watch the competitors. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is cool. What the hell is this? I've never seen this before.
The talent level there is, for people that have never seen it, like the time and like, obviously they can do a dog faster than somebody training, but the amount of time and skill set that goes into that is
the years behind.
The
years behind that is incredible.
Yeah.
To this day, I know so many competitors, and I still look at them and I tell them, I envy you.
Right.
Where it's mutual. Sometimes it comes back and it's like, no. I envy you.
Right.
But when I sat down and I really started seeing, it is art, right? That's something I already knew, but I would see it on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
I immediately got this itch of, I was just grooming, it's just bathing dogs at this point, mind you. Bathing dogs, checking in, helping Steph bathe their dogs. That's it. That's all I was doing.
You can be successful just bathing.
No, 100%.
Grooming, like bath and brush can go a long way.
100%. I told Steph that day, I was like, we're going to buy equipment, and I'm going to start grooming when we get back home.
Nice.
And ever since then, it's just been, my education was a little bit reverse in how I learned, but ever since that day, I was hooked. Yeah. I was hooked, and I immersed myself in everything that there could possibly be on dog grooming.
So was a lot of it, were you self-taught, or did you take like,
100%.
class, but 100%.
100% self-taught. My teacher was my wife.
Yeah, which is a pretty good team. Well,
Sometimes.
could be. I was gonna say, yeah. So that's
Sometimes.
If work goes home with you after you kind of butcher one, that probably wasn't quite as fun.
Sometimes she's a great teacher, but sometimes words hurt. You know?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no, 100% self-taught alongside with my wife. Yep.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, especially when you got a co-parent with somebody that's belittling your grooming abilities, it might be a little bit tougher. Than
yeah.
But how has having that relationship with your wife, also being a groomer, been helpful? I know you guys share time in this van.
Yep.
And then scheduling around parenting and stuff like how do you work that out?
Life has become much easier now that we're mobile. 100%. Besides that, there's no employees, it's just us.
Right.
We make the schedule.
Yeah.
Right. If I wanted to pull this van out and start at noon, because let's just say we didn't have a sitter until noon, we can do that. We have the luxury of doing that. And I'm not just saying this. She's an awesome partner, whether it be business or at home. She's an amazing teacher, amazing person, just in general. So I got it real easy with that.
Yeah.
It's super easy.
Yep.
Of course, there are those times that you clash. You have different business ideas, different business ventures, such as when we did it.
Right.
Believe it or not, she was all in on this. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I am the skeptical person. I have the fears. She doesn't.
Right. Well, and you had a successful business going, so it's tough to take that leap where it's like the Petco and PetSmart. You see it kind of getting just turned into corporate where you're cranking out numbers.
Exactly.
Where when you actually care about the animal, it does make that tougher because you're running a successful business.
Yeah, there was a pay cut for sure when we did that. You're not doing the large amount of dogs that a corporate's doing. I think having her there is no me without her. I say it all the time on social media. Yeah. If there wasn't her, if I never met her, I would be dead end job trying to figure out where I'm at. She built the structure and she showed me something that I've never seen before. Yeah. So there is no me without her.
Right. I mean, and having that support system, I think just in life in general is important for everybody, not, whether it's business. I think it's awesome that you guys are able to work that, because I know a lot of couples that couldn't pull that off.
Yeah, I hear it all the time.
Right.
I hear it all the time.
Work with my wife, but it's like, if your, wife is your best friend, your best support system.
It makes it so much easier, dude. It helps too when go home, we could talk about the same thing, right? Mind you, we're not talking about dog grooming 24/7.
Right.
But if we had a rough day, or if I had a rough day or vice versa, I could put myself in her shoes, opposed to trying to put myself in her shoes.
Right.
It literally, I feel you. We feel it. If she comes back a little cranky, I come back a little cranky. I had a bad day. All right. Yeah. Cool. I understand. I get it.
Right.
There's ups and there's downs, but it definitely helps when your partner is right by your side doing it with you, for sure.
When you say the bad days, what are some of the day-to-day things that are struggles or that do make mobile tough?
Right now, we're at a smooth point. We are approaching wintertime. It's something that in the beginning I had to get used to as well. But right now, I'm confident that we could smooth through it. But it wasn't always peaches and cream, how it is right now. We definitely had that rough start.
Yeah.
We were told by a lot of mobile groomers that we asked around, it's like, what do you think about mobile? All right, well, in the first year, you might want to quit. Yeah. You might think, damn, why the hell did I do this? You might want to do this. And it's something that I tell people all the time. And thankfully, I was able to display the down in here on social media as not only something that you guys never seen before,
right,
but something that if it potential later on there, I can be something that people can go and ask for. We had our van down for almost a month.
Right.
So coming from a shop that is extremely lucrative.
And being nervous about making that switch.
Exactly.
Your end.
We were out, what?
About 3 to 4 weeks. And like I was going to say, like that was kind of one of those things to kind of explain. Basically, you had some chassis issues that prevented the van from running.
Yeah.
And it was, 3 to 4 weeks that Mercedes was unable to basically fix it. And also a time frame where I gained a ton of respect for you, because you hit the absolute worst possible case scenario where you do take a risk, you do start a new business venture, and from almost instantly you hit
rock bottom.
Like tough water.
You go from, and we were hitting our margin every single day leading up to that week, and it was like we were killing it. killing it, right? And then just like that, done.
Right.
You're frozen. You're done. And it's not like we had mishaps in shop where we even had a flood in the shop. But guess what? We were able to clear that up, and we were grooming dogs within the hour. This is something. It was almost like a freak accident.
Right.
Basically, I didn't know where to point my anger towards either.
Yeah.
So once I did my own research, called you guys, went back and forth with Mercedes. It was a Mercedes issue. Wagon Tails, I mean, phenomenal on the and I'm not just saying this, on the customer service side, phenomenal. Things that I wouldn't even think that customer service would even try to reach out to.
Yeah.
You guys did it.
Yep.
Even if it was, I'm sorry, I really can't help you. It was the genuine nature of feeling the pain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And
I felt like you guys all
did.
put it on your back as well, and your shoulders, and it was kind of like, how can we help him out? How can we help them out? But yeah, no, Mercedes got the part from Europe.
Okay.
Expedited over. It was like a control panel.
Yeah.
Just went out.
Which is pretty important.
It had nothing to do with the conversion.
Yeah.
It was just, like I said, freak accident.
Yeah, and I mean, it was unfortunate, but like, you had never got, like, I could tell your frustration, obviously the fear that was behind it with you just starting, but you were always so respectful to us.
Yeah.
And like understanding that it wasn't our issue, but we were gonna, our team was gonna work to try to get it solved. Yeah. But and I think a lot of those cases, people aren't gonna be as respectful and like that. From our side of it, it's a lot easier to want to help someone who is respectful towards you.
Yeah, no, I
like, obviously we want to help everybody,
right.
but it was like, when I'm talking to you on a weekend or something, it's like, hey, like, it was your living. Like, and that hit home. And trying to imagine myself now working for 3 weeks, like how terrifying that would be. And like, how did you, I guess, push through that process, or had you done something prior to prepare for when something went wrong?
Unfortunately, we didn't prepare for it.
Yeah.
It was kind of one of those things that, as any business owner, you got to have like a grind mentality. We just went grind mentality. We even went on the fence of, I was just going to go get a regular retail job, you know? I didn't know if we were going to continue to pursue this route. It was one of those things is like, is it meant to be? Like superstition, oh no, who's looking bad on us, stuff like that. Luckily, prior to this, I work with a couple of brands. A lot of them gave I guess you could say, the pay that we kind of do in exchange for content in advance.
Okay.
Man, helped out tremendously there. And that's when you kind of really start seeing in this industry, like, who's actually a friend, who genuinely actually cares. And those people, they don't even need to give me a paycheck at this point. I would solely do it because of they looked out for my family.
Right.
In need,
Yeah, absolutely.
But the grind mentality kicked in. We were doing content from home, wherever we could. Luckily, we have animals.
Yeah.
I have a dog and 3 cats, so I was able to create content like that. And that's kind of when it kind of sparked the day in the life content that I do now, so I can get a little bit different traction to my social media. But grind mentality kicked in, and we were doing anything necessary. We did have a couple of savings here and there, but nothing that we were predicting.
So what happens with the shop during this time frame? Had you sold the shop and then moved to mobile purely?
That's a great question. So might be a long story on that one as well.
We got time.
So we were gonna sell. It was Posh Paws Grooming. We were gonna sell Posh Paws, the LLC. Unfortunately, the landlords came to an agreement. There was 3. It was a family. To the agreement, if it wasn't us, they didn't want dog grooming there.
Oh wow.
So we had to just close shop. Luckily, we had 5 employees, excluding us. We tried our best to help out, employ them elsewhere, wherever it would be. We helped one get her LLC up and running. Stuff like that, little things like that to help out because we felt like absolute crap. So we had to just close shop.
Yeah.
We sold everything that was in there. This is in the midst of you guys getting the van together.
Gotcha. So
we were.
Like
it was super emotional because this was our baby that we're choosing
so you'd
to
ordered
close
the
shop.
Van while you're closing shop.
Yep.
Okay.
There was a huge transition period, very emotional for us. And kind of going back to what you said about being in business with my wife, we were butting heads at that point. Because I did want to keep shop, I didn't want to solely 100% go mobile because I didn't want to put all of our eggs in this basket right away. Because again, I was nervous. It is a scary thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's risk, right? It's one of those things. It's the unknown that a lot of people are scared of, and I think like watching your content and social media, like you're the living example of why that risk is worth it.
100%. I do believe it is very cliche, but the risk is definitely greater than the reward sometimes. The reward, it is benefit, right? But we had to take that risk. We had to. The reward comes, but we had to take that risk, and we were in agreement. Let's do this. And mind you, I left out this huge detail. Steph is pregnant with our son at this time.
Oh wow! So you're adding risk to risk.
This is when we're in the conversation and everything, and then when we closed shop, obviously he was born, and moving up to it, he was our final decision on us closing shop and going mobile. He was the main factor. Second dog of the day. She's on a 5-week rotation. Keep her on a pretty tight-knit schedule. This way I know that she won't get knotted. If it's on a proper schedule, I could probably get done about anywhere from an hour to an hour 20 minutes. Clean power is definitely something that I would recommend to anybody. Never got to experience a generator, and I'm glad I'm not experiencing it. I wouldn't trade this for anything, especially in areas like this. Nothing. It's very quiet, even if I were to shut this off. So I wouldn't want a loud generator disrupting these folks or anything like that. Besides the backing up of the van, I could be as discreet as possible in and out. No interruptions to anybody. In here, I like to try to keep it as clean as possible. I love the way everything's set up in here. That was the number one thing when we looked at other conversions, DIYs, or other brands. The setup was key to us. One thing that I like about mobile is how effortless everything can be if you're doing it properly. So even as simple as we have hair here, if I just grab the vacuum, my workspace is clean just like that. So something like that is huge for me. I have a slight bit of OCD. So that goes perfectly hand in hand with me. And just like that, my workspace is clean. The setup that we have here is something I wouldn't trade off. A dog that I would probably do in shop that may have taken about 30 minutes more here, I cut that 30 minutes time just because everything is just 1, 2, 3 in and out.
So dog number 2 done.
Piper is done. Piper is an amazing dog.
The client base that you have, I think one of the unique things is, like you said when you got started, like obviously you developed your own skill set, but how important is the relationship with the client and how much of it is they look forward to seeing you?
That is everything. That is the business, right? I always like to say I like to create a full experience. Not only am I grooming these dogs, but I like you just said, I want them to look forward. I'm not a burden to them. It's just an in and out, clean cut. Majority of them have families. I have family. It's good that they know that we have a son. Our family. Most of them go to the same schools.
Right.
So these are all things that I like. But yeah, no, it goes hand in hand. And at the end of the day, without them, there is no Lux Dog. There is no us. We would be shut down if it wasn't for them. So I like to give them payback in full and give them that full experience.
What would you say your most, the types of clients that you have? Is it dual income households where the both people are working? Is it elderly? Like what do you most commonly see?
Good mixture of everything, our clientele, honestly. But most are dual. We have very few elderly right now. The ones that we do have, they come from shop and they were ecstatic that we went mobile. But right now, dual income, blue collar workers.
Yeah. People more so that care about their dogs, maybe some older dogs that normally couldn't get
100%.
in and out of the car.
100%. We have a couple of old elderly dogs, and a lot of anxious dogs, elderly dogs that we seen that when we took care of in shop, opposed to here, we're dealing with a different dog here. There's not dogs in the background barking. Just the initial taking the dog out of their home and putting them inside the car is an impact on the dog. Sometimes they relate it to going to the vet. They relate it to somewhere negative. Now they see and they know, oh, we're just going to go here.
Right.
They look
at home.
Yeah, they look out the window and they see their home. They see their favorite spot. They see all that and they're comfortable.
So how many from the shop, how many of those clients followed you mobile?
40%. It started off a lot higher when we first did it. And again, there is a price increase,
Sure.
right? With luxury and with convenience and all that good thing comes a certain price that you do have to price it at. Right now, I would like to say that we're at like the 40% range that are still existing with us. And I think that's pretty strong. And I think that resonates, again, to what I said, that experience that we give, that they don't bat an eye on what they're paying because they know they're paying quality.
Yeah. And what was your price jump from the shop to mobile?
Anywhere from $100 to $130, depending on the dog. Pretty much double.
Yeah. So you didn't have any problem filling up? No.
When we had the shop, and this is something I get questions about a lot, shop versus mobile. Versus mobile. Is this the right direction? And it's a weird kind of thing in the beginning because, like I said earlier, the grind mentality has to start all over again because you are kind of revamping yourself and remodeling and all that other stuff, and you become a new business again, in a way, in some sorts. So when we did go mobile, it's not like it's a shop that existing where the community can get behind you. And we thought it was as easy as we're mobile advertisement. We'll just drive around, then we'll get the clients. It does happen here and there. But you have to be existent, right? It is a word of mouth. You do have to visit these parks. You do have to do the legwork, just like anything else. Some shops open and they have the clientele because of the community. But others have to go out there, hand out flyers, do your local community parade, do some nail trims in a park here and there. It's all about advertisement.
Yeah, I mean, I've told a lot of people that are starting out, like, one of the good things is to go to a humane society.
Yeah.
And, do some free grooming, let some local media or the community know you're going there.
We're doing that in the next couple of weeks.
Are you?
Yeah, we're going to go up north a little bit, and we're going to help. They just got a whole, I hate to say it like this, a whole herd of dogs from Florida.
Oh, from the herd.
Yeah, so we're going to go over there and help them out, and help out anyway. Anything that they need. And believe it or not, it's not just bath dogs. A lot of haircuts coming our way.
Sure.
A lot of haircuts.
And that's a great relationship to have.
100%.
Overall, because you're doing a good thing for the community, and and they support your business in turn each time one of those dogs does find a home. Obviously, that's good for everybody involved.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. So when you're talking about hustling initially, as you'd kind of reinvented yourself, what were some of the creative ways you went out and got clientele?
Well, thankfully, it goes back to having a great business partner.
Yeah.
She is the social media, building our website, everything. She handles that portion. And I'm the in-person talk network person. So we kind of combined that together, and it was recipe for success. Social media, we all know, it's a huge thing. If you're not even on it, or like even advertising, a lot of socials you could pay for advertisement and stuff like that. You spam the socials, you can spam your specific area and get you out there. That's something that we did. Like I said, going to a local park, just opening up. This van does have a different look to it. It does stand out a little bit opposed to our local, I wouldn't say competitor, our local groomers. So yeah, just being there in your community and showing face and talking to them and let them know how you separate from the pack.
Yeah, no, you'd mentioned a unique place that you were handing out business cards initially.
Yeah, so I got introduced, so I knew car meets were a thing, but I never knew that this would stand out in a car meet.
Yeah.
So yeah, handed out cards in a car meet. it goes well. You know, you get clientele from the strangest places sometimes. I wouldn't recommend it sometimes, but we parked up anywhere. It doesn't matter. I could park right here and I'll hand some cards out. It doesn't really matter. Just I especially for a business that's just starting off, just show face, show exactly and what separates you. That's the biggest thing. Yes, there is a groomer down the block maybe, but maybe you're doing something as when we had the shop, we're kennel free. I would love to say kennel free, but obviously we're kennel free here. That right there, that sets mobile and shop apart right there. So that's something that sells itself.
And like having both, what would you say as far as like overhead costs? How does that change from a shop to mobile?
Initial, obviously, it's an investment, but overhead. Now we're talking.
Let's say month to month.
Oh.
Yeah.
I only give you that face because depending on where you're at,
sure,
the rent and everything like that. But once come April, the overhead is so minimal. We can't even find a studio space for what we would be paying this overhead.
Right, and then that's probably a leased studio space, not one that you would
exactly.
own. Like that's,
I'm talking about rent to rent and month to month.
Yeah.
And because around here at least, there's no you don't own the building kind of thing. So that's why I base it on that. Thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's a huge margin once you pass that initial and take that leap, and then you go through that grunt work, which, believe it or not, blink of an eye, we're almost it's done, just like that. And it does become painless once it's there. And when you see there is a huge light at the end of the tunnel, and the tunnel's not that far at all. It's really not. And that's something that I was worried about. That painful beginning, and oh man, we gotta rebrand, we gotta start this, we gotta start that. No, it's not bad at all, and I'm not just saying that.
Right, and I think one of the things that's, with the shop, you mentioned that most places are never going to let you own it because that landlord's never going to give up that building, and like in your scenario, they wouldn't even let you sell it to another groomer, so like that kind of handcuffs you, where I guess when I look at something like this is once you've paid it off, one, you don't have a payment, two, you then have a business asset.
And then you can even think about in each individual scenario is different, but then you could start about, if you want to talk about branching off, you could really branch off. You can get a couple of these vans, and then you could own your area. Right. 4 of these vans, where it's ridiculous. You could literally take over your area with 4 of these things.
So how many people would you say are in the area that you cover? Like explain a little bit of your routing and how much ground you cover week to week.
In the beginning, we would have went wherever. It doesn't matter. We would have crossed 3 bridges to get to our clients in the beginning. Right. Doesn't matter. But now that we have, our zone is very small. Now that we do it, because as you could see, the town to town is very tight knit. It's very close, and we don't go far at all. So what we'll do is we'll do neighboring towns. So we'll focus on like 3 towns that day, and we'll knock out those 3 towns. Or maybe some days we only focus on that one town. We only service that one town, and that could just be anywhere from around the corner to 2 miles away. It really depends on what town we're in and who we're focused on.
Gotcha. So you've had this van for almost a year now?
February makes a year.
Getting close. And what are you at mileage-wise on it?
I believe we're at 6K.
So.
And I think the biggest amount was when we drove it from you guys, from Indiana to New York. I think that's when we put the biggest
right there almost.
That's what we put the biggest dent. We're at 6K right now, no issues.
Yeah, I would say so. In nine months, you've only put 5,000 miles day to day travel.
I would say that exactly because I think South Bend was about
that was a lot. So, what is the importance in understanding your scheduling and routing, and how do you make sure you stay on top?
It's everything, because not only, even if we're putting mileage aside, right? It's just the pure convenience of that next client, or convenience of personal schedule or anything like that. And it could give us the peace of mind that, let's say, you saw when I was doing Piper, there was not a rush in the world.
No.
Because I know that I scheduled that neighboring person. It's an ease. It's a breeze, right? And we schedule it in a window base. We don't give exact times. So our windows are an hour stretch. So I can get there an hour ahead, or I might be running late sometimes because there might be construction. Like there's construction coming up here. You never know, especially when you're driving. But your schedule, if you're not in a certain zone and scheduling, it can get real chaotic. You'll be everywhere, and you're conserving gas, which means you're conserving money this way and everything like that. So scheduling your area and correctly is literally number one for mobile.
What would be some of the, let's say, on top of scheduling, some of the shortfalls where you could see that, you know, if you had advice for somebody that's getting started, what would you tell them to look out for to make sure they're running it properly and don't have those stresses early on that you had to learn the hard way?
That's one that I would have to think about.
Yeah.
Because I would only be able to speak on what I'm.
That's fine.
Right. I would only understand the curves that we went through.
Yeah.
Which was pretty huge.
Right.
I think those curves were huge, but I really think number one is scheduling.
Yeah.
I really don't think, and everybody will run into that unless you go into mobile with mobile clientele. Yeah. Which is few to none. I don't know if somebody does that. Please let me know. Yeah. Because I would love to get advice from that person. But majority of the people, correct me if I'm wrong, are going from brick and mortar or a franchise or something. And even if they are currently working in mobile and want to open their own mobile, they're gonna have to get their own clientele. Right. You can't yank all the clients and everything like that. So you are gonna be scattered all over the place. But once you start creating that schedule, unfortunately, you will have to let certain people go. Yep. The furthest ones, you're currently not in my thing, but obviously make sure that they're in the correct place and they're filled. That spot is filled. And that's where we're at right now. We're able to, unfortunately, turn people away because they just aren't per route. Yep. It just doesn't make sense for us, timing-wise, and we want to build in our zone. We want to be the mobile groomers in our area.
And as you do that, I know, like, again, the scheduling and keeping a full schedule and somebody on, you know, repeat is also important to make sure they're not just booking once. So how do you keep that repeat clientele? And I know something that a lot of groomers struggle with making that leap is raising their prices. Right. Because mostly, you know, groomers are good-hearted people. And if they have Mrs. Smith that's been paying $50 at the shop they've been at,
yeah.
How do you go about, you know, a price change to, let's say, $150?
We'll explain it. Well, I'm a firm believer, and you don't really need to explain yourself. Mm-hmm. The product should speak for itself. But those few far people that you do have to explain yourself and everything, it's just the pure convenience for one. But you also have to be conscious of the reality of you will lose people. You will lose those clients. But if you take a look at your local area, there's probably right now about 5 dogs walking past you, 6 dogs.
I mean,
you know?
Anywhere we've been today, which has probably been, what, an 8-mile radius? Yeah. There's been people
There's dogs
walking
everywhere.
dogs.
There's dogs everywhere. But not to deter away from your question, but the main thing is you will lose clients.
Yeah.
But it's okay. You'll lose them. But I promise the next client will understand, and they're seeking out for you.
Right.
And that's the easiest part. When they seek out for you, you don't have to explain anything at all.
Because you're fully booked already.
Yeah.
How many people would you say, like, if you had a client bail on you or had to fire a client because their dogs bit you twice,
right,
how quickly could you fill up those slots, or how long would your waiting list be currently?
Right now, we haven't yet closed our books. We will be closing our books soon. But we keep everybody on a steady 4, 6, and baths, depending on the haircut length as well, 8-week rotation. So if we were to either get rid of or one would drop out, we get inquiries almost every single day. Yeah. So realistically, we're thankful enough that we could fill that spot in next week if their appointment, let's just say, was next week. Yeah. We could fit it right in that 4-week slot. We could fit it one right in that 6 weeks, everything like that. Right now, we're thankful enough and fortunate enough that all spots can be filled ASAP. Yeah. But in the beginning, again, it wasn't like that. In the beginning,
you have to be willing to kind of hustle and shuck and jive a little bit to get your name out there.
But the importance is to keep your clients on that 4, 6 to 8. And your books will be completely full, and I'm talking how many dogs we take daily.
Right. What would you say, like, schedule-wise, you see total overall around 180 to 200 dogs?
To break it down, I guess, by day to day, when I'm in the van by myself and when Steph's in the van by herself, max 5 dogs.
Okay.
I can do 6, but like I said a little while ago, I rather not take that extra. I'd rather take my time and spend on that one-on-one attention and separate myself from the pack and really show that TLC, that extra love to that dog, or the haircut, really pay attention, learn something new as well. So that, and then when we're together, we could take 6. If we don't have anything to do and we have a sitter,
Yeah.
maybe 7.
Yeah.
But to break it down on the day-to-day basis, yeah, the van is running 4, sometimes 5 times a week. Max 6 to 7 dogs.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's where we're at right now as well. We're referral based.
Yeah.
So
Do you give a discount for referral?
no.
No? You don't need to.
On the business end, I would, if we're talking business advice,
Yeah.
in the beginning, okay, I can understand it, but I would shy away from discounts as much as possible. It does hurt your business, and those people that did get that discount will be expecting a discount more than you.
Well, and they also probably tell other people about discounts.
Exactly. So, in shop, we were all about the discounts.
Yeah.
Mobile, we haven't. I'm proud to say we haven't given one discount out. For our reoccurring, we'll do like certain things, like we're starting like little packages that for like their birthday, we'll give them like a little gift bag and stuff like that. Luckily, our booking app will let us know and give us a heads up of their birthdays and stuff like that, so we are aware. Little things like that, but I mean, again, I would bend over backwards for our clients, and they do the same for us. So one hand washes the other. So they don't expect anything from us, and we don't expect anything from them.
So being, 9-10 months in, how long did it take where you had that full client schedule?
Till last week.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I want a realistic.
Yeah, no. Till about last week we could, and again, it's gonna fluctuate, right? There's gonna be, like right now, of course, it's gonna be solid because now we're approaching holidays, but it could fluctuate. There could be somebody that's a better price than ours. That could be a little cheaper. There could be that person that cutthroats.
Yeah.
Maybe in a way, it's like, oh, I'm better than them, or whatever. We'll lose them. It's okay.
So finished up your day, average day,
Yep.
in a mobile grooming truck, and with the last 2 clients, I've heard you kind of discuss with their owner veterinary and the health of the animal.
Yeah.
How much does what you do tie into the health of the dog?
I mean, there's a reason why this was deemed essential during COVID. It is part of a health routine. We've had many incidents that will feel over the dog during grooming sessions or just a brushing, and we may find a lump that the owner didn't see. We brought it to their attention. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes just a heads up, but it is essential.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand 100%.
And keeping them on that cycle, you can kind of tell, like, if there's weight gain,
Yeah,
weight loss.
exactly.
Just that overall health of the dog. So the long-term care is not just, they smell good when they get in
Exactly.
bed, but their long-term health.
Right.
And, for the happiness of the owner and the pet, mobile grooming obviously goes a long way. As you mentioned on the drive here, that you could put 4 trucks in here and be totally fine. So as you've started this business, when you look to the future, what's it look like?
We will just keep one van.
Okay.
We want it to be exactly what we had the vision of the shop, just us solo, and it's not us being, well, it is being selfish. Sometimes in business you do have to be selfish, but it is for our livelihood. We do want to keep it just like that. But for the future, for this van, I hate to sound corny, but as our son grows, it'd be great to just, here you go.
Have something to pass down.
You have success, you have a business running.
Yeah.
It's something that wasn't done for me. So, I mean, how awesome would that be?
Right, and I think, like, as a father, your goal is always to give your son more than you had growing up.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Talk about a little bit about your childhood, and then what having your own schedule, your own free time has meant to you as a father now.
Well, I was raised by a single mother. Father was super absent. But now, full circle, I wouldn't have it any other way. My mom played the father and mother role, which is very difficult. She went to school full time, worked full time. Always had food on the table. I got everything that I could possibly want with love, not the physical and all that stuff that, it doesn't really matter, the other stuff. Not rough childhood, just I got to see a hardworking woman. That was installed with me at a very young age. You have to work for everything that you want, and that was exactly what I'm doing. Now, as for fatherhood, it's tricky, right? I want to give him everything that I didn't have, but still give him that work ethic that I have.
Right.
Very tricky.
It's a tough balance.
It is very
too.
tricky. Even at a young age, at 1, I'm already having that conflict.
Yeah.
You know, do I want to be this extra loving father that I always wanted, or do I want the structure father that I always wanted? It's a hard role to try to find right now, but the future is I definitely want him to be a hard-working individual like his mother and me.
Yeah, and as you grow and do that, how do you use this van or this business to teach those life skills?
I keep saying I feel like this is like the same thing. It's everything.
Yeah.
Like it is everything. We devote, again, like I said earlier, we wouldn't have this van if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Right. We gave it all for him, to give him that lifestyle, to give him that sacrifice, and life is full of sacrifices, and I'm hoping that he does see it as he grows, that we gave it all when we tell him this story.
Right.
And everything, because this will be the most successful van ever.
It looks like you're doing all right.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad at all. So him seeing his mother and father be successful individuals in a certain industry, or just successful in life in general, it's teaching us as well.
Right.
This is new to us as well. So it's a life lesson that we're learning, and we'll install it to him, segue it to him.
So you took the risk of purchasing this van when you found out that you were having a child.
Yeah.
Talk me through the emotions of that, as working with your wife. Like how did that play out? As I'm sure there was quite a bit of stress involved there.
Yeah, she was ready to go right away.
Yeah.
She wanted it to rewind and just to be us. Because when you do have a shop, or you have multiple vans, or just in business in general, it's hard to step away. And it's something that we can do here. When this van is parked, we're stepped away. Yes, we may handle clients with a text message cancellation or stuff like that, but we don't have to urgently rush out because there was something that happened in shop when we're not there. Right. We're in full control of everything that happens here. But we were definitely butting heads. I was on the opposing side, and she was all pro on this. And again, all fears.
Yeah.
Everything that I have is like, but this can happen, but this can happen. She's like, who cares? Yeah. But once we came together, it was easy.
Yeah. So like those fears that you mentioned, and we had it happen today, you had a cancellation.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those and making sure, long term, that it doesn't become something that affects your day to day? Do you, have clients put a card on file, and what applications and stuff do you use to function day to day? So
we do have a policy set in place. That cancellation was within the policy of we didn't have to charge. Okay. But if it is same day, it would be 100%. We do have that installed. There is a card on file, and blah, 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 and all that other stuff. Our booking app allows that. We do have certain things that we let them know. But yeah, everything is set in stone with us. But we do have a cancellation list as well. Okay. So if this were to happen, and we really wanted to get that person in, or we really needed, or it was just one of those months, we could switch them right in there and get them in.
And do you see some seasonality throughout the business? Now, let's say Thanksgiving or holidays, when people are going to have people over, do you have an influx of business, and do you charge differently during that time?
Influx for sure. But luckily for us, our clientele are already booked out. Our Thanksgiving and Christmas is done. Yeah. We're booked out. We can't take new clients, unfortunately, but fortunately at the same time.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. So we're already booked out for the season. But for sure, if we were in need, again, we would get inquiries every single day, and majority of those. But you do get a lot of floaters as well. Mm-hmm. So you do get people that will just go to you that one time because they desperately need for a haircut, and then they'll go off to the next. So you do have to wean those out as well.
Yeah, I think that's very important, making sure that you keep that revenue stream, like you mentioned earlier, the 4, 6, 8
4, 6, 8.
Because those individual ones where they, bail on you constantly, that can be a business killer early on.
Yep.
Kind of you mentioned like routing and stuff. As you prepared to go with this van, and we look at like the hurricane or like people that may have lost their livelihood for a while, how important is finding the right insurances and apps and stuff as you get started?
That was the major thing for us. It was fortunate that you guys made it easy for us as well, because we didn't even know about it, the insurance that we have. But we did look at even our what we have for our personal vehicle, and besides how much they were asking for, because it wasn't a DIY, it wasn't anything like that, it was skyrocketed. But it's extremely important to find the correct insurance, because not for you, but the pet in your hands as well. Kind of like an umbrella insurance. You need it all covered.
Yeah. So what do you have into your policy right now that you would say is important for people starting?
So this one's going to be a little bit off of this.
That's fine.
But I do have to get it. It is a fine line that you do have to read in deep on what you're doing, no matter what insurance you are under. Because unfortunately, the downside of what we have, we weren't covered for what happened.
Gotcha.
So we weren't covered for any loss.
So the loss of income you weren't covered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was difficult for us.
Well, absolutely.
So you do have to find that one that would, from what I know, is few to none.
Yeah.
We do have it in line that if it were to happen something like that, we are covered again, because there's different policies that you can kind of go on and everything like that. But we're full coverage, everything, whether it's pet, us, vehicle, everything, we're full coverage now.
That's awesome to hear. It's a good, safe fall to have in place, because one of the worst calls I get is my van was totaled and I found out they only covered the van and not the conversion. So it's just kind of one of those early pitfalls, again, like you said, like
collision,
scheduling.
Collision, anything like that, we're fully covered for it.
That's great. So, kind of thinking back a little bit more on our, initial conversations of getting set up and stuff, what have you done when you started that makes this a great job day to day?
Our schedule.
Yeah.
Besides, so, I mean, look, right? Like, this right here, you can't do in a brick and mortar. You can't do this. You can't schedule to the part where, even if you weren't here, I do have those peace of mind kind of like unwind days. I'll bring a book, I'll kick back, have a coffee, read a book, off to the next one. I do need a mental clock out as well in between sometimes, just like everybody else. This is the only job that I've worked that I feel complete freedom. This is freedom. I love to drive. I love to be outside no matter the weather. I love grooming the dogs that I work on. It is complete freedom. I can honestly say that I love my job because we did this route.
Yeah, and with that freedom, obviously you've spent a lot of time with your social media, kind of watch it grow by the thousands in a short period of time. How has that affected your ability to bring in income and then created partnerships and relationships for you?
So it kind of separated me from the pack as well.
Yeah.
Because when I did the mobile, even when we were in talks, when I started getting excited about it and I was on the pro side, I was like, all right, I could do anything now. I don't have to worry about someone like looking or like me maybe feeling embarrassed of a client. Like, I'm solely by myself. It would be me and my camera. So I wanted to kind of separate and do something different that I personally haven't seen. I did tap into different industries, whether it be barber or anything like that, even nail techs and stuff like that. And I took different ideas. And what fit me the most is I watch vlogs. I'm a huge YouTuber. And I thought showing, even if it's 30 seconds a day in my life, it may spark somebody's interest. Or give them like, oh, I want to do that. Or give them the support and maybe help out. And I've got tons of questions about brick and mortar versus mobile and everything. And you could see, if you go down in my timeline, the difference between my content in shop and out here. And it goes right back to, it's complete freedom. It's creative control of whatever I want to do. And this is just the start. I have so much in my brain that I'm going to do. So it definitely was a launching pad for sure.
And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that watch us and say, well, I don't have the gift of gab that you have where you're good at talking to people. Like, I just like the animals, or I don't have the skill set that he does. What would you say to those people, being someone that's self-taught and self-trained, to get them to have that confidence instilled in themselves?
You do.
Yeah.
Like right away, you do. We've talked to numerous people that come up as like, oh, how can you talk to a camera, or aren't you embarrassed? And once you get past that, you do have it. Everybody has it in them, whether it's a photo, whether it's a video, whether it's talking. You can inspire somebody just by a 30-second video, whether it's talking or not talking. So everybody does have it. Everybody, especially in this industry, has some sort of knowledge in something that somebody else doesn't.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the greatest things. I've always thought that it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
Just fail upwards.
Yeah.
So where would you say, looking back at some of those videos, like you said, where you feel silly or something,
Yeah.
looking back on it, where are some areas that you've failed that you would say have helped you?
Even just looking back at a groom.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, oh man, I could have really done that differently. Or even today, if I'm looking at it, it's like, if I was recording, I would have went back, I could have done that differently and stuff like that. But when it comes to content, there's tons of stuff that nobody will ever see. Maybe just my wife and I, and that's it. Because not only did I deem it terrible, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to put that, but I set the bar high for myself. So I always want to get better and better and better, whether it's my grooms, my content, as a father, as a husband, everything in general. So you're always going to get better. So the more you do it, the better you'll get, for sure.
And what are some of the resources that you use to continue to educate yourself within dog grooming or make yourself better on a day-to-day?
Well, there's a lot of webinars that I watch. We're always putting money into this industry, whether it's something like this, buying a webinar, going to expos and stuff like that. We're forever learning. So it's continuous education over and over and over. So there's so many means of education and information out there.
And where would you like to see more education, and what do you think some of the gaps or holes are?
YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is the #1 platform for people to watch videos, and I don't think there's enough proper education, or even just like a day in a life. Again, it's something that I want to kind of segue off to as well, because there's not enough in there. And something like this, or really showing people the comfort that it is in something like this, it could get people past that fear factor that they have.
And where do you see the mobile grooming industry going, let's say, in the next 10 years?
So I was talking to my wife about this. I think there's going to be a lot of self-employed people coming up. Everybody wants to do it. Nobody really goes and does it, not everybody. But when people start seeing those brick and mortars, like we were just talking about, that only rent, you can't buy, the price will keep going up, the overhead and stuff like that, it's going to take over the industry. I think we'll see mobile vans in the next 10 years a lot more than we see right now. Again, once those people get past that fear factor and really experience it, I'm even offering ride-alongs.
Yeah.
Now, it's like, you want to see? Come along. Let's go. Just like we did today. Let's see.
Yep.
Yeah, I could show you exactly what it is day by day, and this isn't for fake. This is
Right.
literally what I do on a daily basis.
And that's the cool thing about this industry, is that people even in your own area are willing to train you.
Yeah.
Because there's literally so many dogs that it's not looked about as competition, it's looked as servicing the animals.
Exactly.
Which is something that's unique, because most
Yeah.
industries that you don't see that ever,
Nope.
probably.
No, I don't think so.
Let's let you go get some coffee.
Yeah. Awesome.
Get rolling, and back to the wife and kids.
Yeah. I appreciate you
Appreciate
stopping
you,
by,
man.
man.
Yeah, that's
For it was great. I had a blast. All right. Let's get out of here. I really do want to get a coffee though.
Yeah.
And that wraps up a day in the life here in White Plains, New York, of a mobile dog groomer. A big thank you to Charlse and Stephanie Swasho for taking the time out and letting us join them in their van. You can follow them at The Supreme Groomer on Instagram, and we appreciate you riding along with us.